Hey everyone, welcome to another edition of PowerCore Productions and Podcastings. I'm your host, Javon Harrington, and today we're going to be starting a new series here on the channel for Anime Marvel Phase 3 Part 2, Defenders Road to Shibuya. That being Kaze no Stigma, Stigma of Winter. What if Kazuma was Iceman, Season 1, Part 1. As always, if you are new to the channel or if you're a regular and like what we have to offer, then please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share, and hit that bell for post notifications so you can stay up to date on everything that is PowerCore Productions and Podcastings that's to come out now and in the future. So, some of you might be wondering, why Iceman? Why in the Defenders? For some of you who don't know, Iceman from Marvel Comics, and as you might know, iconically being a part of the X-Men team, was also a part of the Defenders during the initial runs of the Defenders comics, along with a few other key characters from the X-Men as well, such as Angel and Beast. And I wanted to include Iceman in my own version of the Defenders team as well. As for why I'm using Kaze no Stigma, it's because it's one of those series that's always stuck out to me as being rather interesting. And as some of you who might not know, unfortunately, the author of the series, that being Takahiro Yamamoto, unfortunately passed away in 2009, and the series currently stands at only 12 volumes and remains incomplete. So with a series like this, I wanted to take the opportunity of using it in my own way and using it to tell kind of my own story, but using the elements that were left behind by Mr. Yamamoto's series. So as far as these characters go, they're not going to be mutants per se. They are going to be their own characters, just taking on the names and characteristics of other characters, as well as blending in elements of Marvel with the X-Men lore, along with a little bit of Kaze no Stigma. All in all, just trying to create something that's cohesive and goes well together. Also, this is also going to be a series where we spotlight other lesser-known characters in the Marvel series as well, such as Firestar and others, so on and so forth. But all in all, I'm really looking forward to this. I hope this gets more people interested in this series, even though it is incomplete. I enjoy reading the manga and watching the anime, so all in all, I hope you guys will give it a shot as well. And without further ado, let's get into Kaze no Stigma, Stigma of Winter. What if Kazuma was Iceman? Season 1, Part 1. As always, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Eyes as blue as the azure sky. This is the symbol of the contractor, entrusted by the spirit queen of the ice, with the powers of her domain. I bear this mark, the stigma of winter. After a long and peaceful flight, Kazuma found himself returning back to his homeland, now going under the name of Kazuma Yagami. He hadn't been here in almost 4 years. He still never forgot the night that he left. It was a cold, wintry night. His mother had come to his room, offering him an envelope of cash. It was quite substantial, enough to start over. Of course, Kazuma was confused by this, but it all became clear rather quickly. You see, Kazuma hailed from a family. They were known as the Kanagi family. For some of you, you know about this world, the creatures and the beings that lie within it. From hollows to cursed spirits, everything in between. You probably know the story when it comes to them. They're all real, very real. But there's more to it. There are spirits that are not enveloped in evil. There are good spirits, spirits that come from nature, everything in between. Among them, elemental spirits. Long ago, there were families who went into treaties with these spirits. For some, spirits of fire, wind, water, earth, lightning, even shadow and ice, everything in between. But among them, the strongest were the flame users. This is the origin of the Kanagi family, who made a deal with the spirit king of flames. As such, the family was blessed with the ability to use and manipulate fire at will. This was considered a great honor. And among them, in the Kanagi family, the main branch, they were entrusted with the spirit of fire to be used at its absolute strongest, along with secret treasures and tools, among them the sword of flames known as Inraiha. This was supposed to be Kazuma's birthright, his legacy. He would one day inherit Inraiha. But unfortunately, that never came. On his 18th birthday, he, along with his second cousin, Ayano, who was only 13 at the time, battled for the title. A battle that he lost. No matter how hard Kazuma tried, he could never wield fire. He could never use it. Thankfully enough, his body granted him the protection from flames, but that's all it could do. His father, Genma, was disgusted. His son, who had so much, his eldest, and now all of it had gone to waste. He was excommunicated from the family, given a portion of money to be allowed to live, and was sent away. For Kazuma, he remembered that night when he walked out of the compound. He remembered the shame and the loneliness that he felt, the way that all of his so-called family looked at him, like he was worthless. Sure, this wasn't an uncommon procedure. He had heard about other clans that did things similarly, in some cases even worse. But still, he never thought that he would be on the receiving end of something like this. As he had his bags packed with a few things, he walked into the cold streets when a snowstorm began to fall upon him. As he was trudging along in the snow, he fell, and the weight of everything along with it. He found himself crying, his tears freezing upon their release, his sad cries bellowing to the cold winds. Was he really that unlovable? Why had he been abandoned? It was at that moment that what appeared to be an angel stood before him. He couldn't make out her face, only her silhouette under the light of the full moon. She was dazzling, as if she had been sculpted from the world's purest diamond. Her skin as pale as snow, but as soft as cotton. Her voice cool but soothing. Even in the midst of the cold, she gave warmth to Kazuma's heart. "Who are you?" Kazuma would ask. "I'm a friend. I have seen your cries, and I believe that it is truly pitiful that you were thrown away like this. Your life has worth. You can start over. This is not the end for you. But what do I do? You will learn in time. In time, my blessing will awaken in you. You will be the stigma of winter. Kazuma never forgot that day. He didn't know what she meant at the time, but soon he had come to realize it. And so much had changed since then. But why had Kazuma come back to Japan? It wasn't like he was banned or anything. In fact, he had gotten to the point where he didn't really much care. The Kanagi family and everything along with them, that was all in his past. He was a man that served on principle. There was only one thing that mattered to him, and that was money. Sure, you could talk crap about him, you could say whatever you wanted, but as long as you were paying, well, who was he to argue? Bills got paid, food got put on the table, and it provided a comfortable lifestyle for a young bachelor like himself. But what was Kazuma's profession? Well, you see, trouble doesn't just lie in Japan. It happens all around the world. Strange phenomena, things that you can't really quite fathom. Those things that go bump in the night. Sometimes it's not just a random tree branch that fell on your roof. And sometimes it's not something that rolled under your bed. No, sometimes there is something in the dark. There's something in the shadows. And when those things that go bump in the night make themselves known, you call on certain people to handle the situation. You don't call 911, you don't call the fire marshals, you don't call the military. Because quite frankly, they can't help you. You call on people like Kazuma. That's his job. He makes those bad, scary things go away. For a price, of course. And for Kazuma, this day was no different. He had been called to deal with a spirit that was torturing some rich guy. And funny enough, there was someone else that was there too. A boy named Shinji. He had grown up since the last time Kazuma had seen him. A fellow member of the Kanagi family, though only to the side branch. Of course, when Shinji saw Kazuma, he couldn't help but rub the past in his face. Of course, the Kanagis were hotheads, and they loved to glorify their firepower. It was the greatest thing in the world to them, their sacred treasure. But what would happen if you ever took it away? Kazuma would often gleefully joke at the thought. He couldn't imagine what his family would be like if they ever lost their power. They'd be up a creek without a paddle. But that was enough sentiment. For now, they were both called. Whoever could deal with the spirit would get paid well. Of course, Shinji would try, but he ended up burning the house down, and the spirit only got stronger. Kazuma would have to step in to deal with it. He could go all out, use his full power, but there'd be no point. He concentrated his energy towards the Yoma, as a faint glow started to form around him. Slashes of wind would cut and destroy the spirit, and just as quickly as it came, it went. But now word was going to get out. Kazuma couldn't help it, but still, he didn't like it either. Because now it meant everyone was going to know that the black sheep had returned. And sure enough, Shinji returned to the head of the Kanagi family, Jugo Kanagi. You see, in the Kanagi family, when you become prominent, when you make a name for yourself as a spirit user, throughout the battles that you fight, the accolades that you achieve, you also earn a title. It's a title that's decided upon by the family, a title that you rightfully earn. For Jugo, he was known by the title of the Human Torch. Along with Kazuma's father, Genma Kanagi, he also earned a title. He was known as Sunfire. But the real talk of the town, the youngest member of the Kanagi family to gain a title for themselves, Ayano Kanagi, the inheritor of Enraiha, and her title, Firestar. Of course, Ayano had a tendency to let things go to her head. For her, she felt like the hot stuff of the family. The youngest to inherit the sacred treasure in Raiha, the youngest to gain her title. There were already people who had high expectations for her. Ayano was in a very good mood. She had come home from school after hanging out with her friends at the cafe shop where she enjoyed eating her pounds of cake. Thankfully, the girl had a high metabolism, something of fire in her stomach, and she could burn away all of the calories she gained, so it was no problem for her. However, there was a serious look on her father's face when she returned to the Kanagi compound. There was her cousin, Ren, Kazuma's younger brother, and to Genma, the only son he recognized. Thankfully, he could wield fire. Ren, Genma, and Jugo were there, along with Shinji. Shinji being berated for his behavior and being reprimanded to do better. But there was also something else. It's about your cousin, Jugo would say. My cousin? You mean Kazuma? What about him? He's returned, Genma said, with a voice that had a hint of annoyance, as if he didn't want to be bothered with any of this, and even more so, the idea that he'd ever have to say that name again. Yeah, it seems like my brother's come back. And not just that, Genma said. Apparently, he's become a wind magic user. Wind magic? Are you serious? The black sheep of the family. The loser who couldn't even use fire magic. Who lost to me when I was only 13 years old? You're telling me that he finally came back and he came back as a wind magic user? It's pathetic. If you ask me, he should have nothing to do with this family. Still, it's a shame that he had to be born into it, Jugo said. If he had been born into any other family, he'd have nothing to be ashamed of. But he was born in this family, and he failed to live up to the responsibilities that come with that honor. He is a failure, and he reflects poorly on our family name and lineage. As far as I'm concerned, I only have one son, and that is Rin. Kazuma does not exist. Even for Ayano, she couldn't help but feel a little bad for Kazuma. If his own father could see him in such a way. However, things would take a much darker turn when the next morning there were cries coming from the side branch family of the Kanagis. There had been a murder, multiple murders. Shinji and a few other members of the side branch had been killed. When the coroner came to see what had done it, they saw that it was done by a wind magic user. Immediately, everyone's suspicions went to Kazuma. It all made perfect sense, right? The scorned member of the Kanagi family goes off to learn some arbitrary form of magic and then comes back to seek revenge. A tale as old as time. But now everyone in the family was furious. And now, Kazuma had gone from a mere annoyance to being the Kanagi's most wanted. Of course, he would have to be brought in for questioning, but until then, there was a hit placed on Kazuma's life. He was to be brought in alive, but if he had to be taken in dead, well, that's just how it came down to. Ayano was being put on the sideline by her father. He was worried for her safety and he didn't want anything to happen to her, but Ayano wasn't having it. "This bastard came after our family," Ayano said. "So what? He wants to throw a little temper tantrum because things didn't go his way? Fine. I'll find his ass, and I'll do to him like I did 4 years ago. I'll show him why I am the one and only who can inherit in Raiha." Thus, much to her father's dismay, Ayano would sneak out. With the help of some of her other cousins, they were all on the prowl looking for Kazuma. Kazuma heard about the incident as well, and he was just as perplexed as everyone else. Why? Because they were accusing him of something he didn't do. But, of course, he knew the optics of it all, and when it came to the Kanagis, there was no speaking reason to them. So he could only be prepared for what was to come. And it didn't take long for trouble to come his way. It started while he was walking out in the streets, when he noticed a car was tailing him. He knew that the Kanagis liked to shoot first and ask questions later, so he casually walked into a construction site. He figured it was best to keep the fighting from out of the general public area. The car slowed down at the site as 2 of Ayano's cousins stepped out, telling her to stay in the car. They followed Kazuma inside and decided to confront him. "Long time no see, Kazuma." "Yeah, how you been?" "You two? Well, you guys really must have moved up a bit if they decided to send you after me. Enough with the small talk. You're gonna pay for what you did to my brother, you damn bastard." "Oh yeah, Shinji. You know, for what it's worth, I am sorry about what happened to him." "So now you're gonna mock me? Hold on. We're supposed to bring you in alive. You think you can help us out with that?" "Well, trust me, I would if I could, but I don't want to. For one, I didn't do anything wrong. 2, even if you wanted, you couldn't bring me in. You'd need at least, I don't know, the whole family to try to do that. And even then, I doubt it'd go that well for you." "You smug. So what? You go disappear for 4 years, and then you decide to come back causing trouble? I told you, I didn't kill." "Shut up! I don't have to take this, not from you. This is your one and only chance, Kazuma. You come in quietly, and you keep your damn mouth shut, or otherwise, I'm gonna melt it shut." Wow, why am I not surprised? Resorting to a temper tantrum when you can't get your way. You know, instead of being called the Kanagi family, the most powerful of the flame magic users, I got another title you all can have. How about spoiled little brats? That's it. I'll see you in hell, Kazuma. The 2 members of the Kanagi family would attempt to attack him. Kazuma felt no need to even use his full power against them both, and taking them down was rather easy. It was Ayano who was a bit of the troublemaker. She came storming in with Raiha in hand, shooting out slashes of flames towards Kazuma and actually forcing him on the defensive. "Good to see you too, Ayano." "Shut up! I'm gonna end this. Here and now, Kazuma, you hear me?" Yeah. Let me guess. You're going to set me on fire. You're going to send me to hell. You're going to cut my head off. You're going to cut my balls off. You're going to make me regret the day I was ever born. I'm unworthy of being in the family. I'm the black sheep. I'm horrible. I'm terrible. I'm a bastard child. Even though, technically speaking, if I was a bastard, you know what? I'm not even going to get into it. You're going to hurl every insult you can at me, and then you're going to come at me with, woo! Kazuma ducked out of the way as Raiha came inches away from his face. I've seen you've gotten proficient at swinging that thing, although you definitely lack technique. It's supposed to be a sacred tool, but here you go swinging it around like it's a baseball bat. What do you think this is, the World Series? I mean, if it was, you've already struck out and you've ruined it for your team, so congratulations, you're doing a really good job. Shut up! Raiha! Incinerate! This could be troublesome. Shooting off all that fire was wrecking up the entire construction site, and she came dangerously close to hitting the side of an apartment building if Kazuma hadn't stopped it. He grabbed her by the hand and pinned her arm behind her back before forcing her to the ground. If I didn't know who you were, I guarantee you I would have done a lot worse. Like you haven't already, you monster! You killed them! I told you, I didn't kill them. If you had half a brain, you'd know that already. But I don't have time to talk to a child. Tell you what, maybe if you ask nicely and you apologize like a good girl, then maybe I'll let you go. You can't hold me like this, Kazuma. The second I get out, I'm going to kill you. You know that. Let me fill you in on a little secret. You could have 100 Raihas, and you'd still never be able to hit me. This isn't like it was 4 years ago. You're still sore about that? Why? You upset because you lost? Ow! No, I'm not upset. Unlike you Kanagis, I actually know how to handle myself in defeat with some level of dignity. But you, Princess, you've never had to struggle a day in your life. Everything's been handed to you on a silver platter with golden spoons. You think that you're the hot shits. Let me give you a little spoiler. You're not. And if you go through life with this type of attitude, I guarantee you're going to run into someone who's a lot less merciful than me. And I'm family. You'll run into people that have no qualms with taking your life, and they don't give a damn what your last name is. So you think about that. In Raiha, Kazuma would let her go as he disappeared, not only wounding her physically, but mentally. Her pride was all but shot. When word got back to Jugo, safe to say he was less than pleased. For one, Ayano was grounded for a month for breaking against his rules and for leaving without his permission, doing exactly what he told her not to do. And as for Genma, well, he was sick of the games. Tell the others they don't have to interfere. I'm going to bring that idiot in myself. Are you sure, Genma? Jugo would ask. Of course. He's my problem child. I'll be the one to deal with it. No need to worry yourself, Jugo. Very well then. But please try not to kill him. I can't promise you that. As Kazuma would return to his hotel, before long he'd be given a phone call. There was no point in ignoring it. He already knew what to expect. Go for Kazuma. Long time no see. Father, you don't get to call me that. I could already take a guess at why you're calling. Don't play games with me, boy. You already know. At the park, tonight, 10 o'clock. Be there. The phone would hang up just as quick. Of course, Kazuma already knew he was going to show up. There was no way he was going to miss this family reunion. As for Ayano, she would be with her friends, complaining more and more about how she had been grounded when she was only trying to do what was right. It was that damn Kazuma. He had done all of this. Why couldn't he just go away? Leave them alone. He just had to come back and ruin everything. She only hoped that he would get what was coming to him, what he deserved. Later on that night, Kazuma would arrive to the park, and before long, his father would be waiting for him. Took you long enough, old man. I see you still don't have any shred of respect. Where did I go wrong with raising you? Oh, so now you want to take credit for raising me, huh? All I remember is you telling me how much of a disappointment I was. Because you are. You were a disappointment then, and you're a disappointment now. I only thought that you would have some humility, some shame. I gave you enough money to live a rather decent life. All you had to do was crawl under a rock and die somewhere. At least then we'd all get peace. Oh, I'm so sorry to disappoint you. It's too late for that. Now, are you going to come quietly, or am I going to have to take you in by force? Don't go acting like this is the same way it used to be, old man. I don't have to take anything from you. I can do whatever the hell I want. That's what you think. The weak don't get to dictate anything to the strong. Then in that case, why are you talking to me? A little disrespectful for a weak, frail old man to be talking to his superior. What? You're superior because you can use wind magic? Don't make me laugh. That's what you think? You think I'm a wind magic user? Oh boy. If you really think that, then you truly are a damn fool. Don't play games with me, Kazuma. We know that you are the wind magic user. There could be no one else. We've seen it firsthand. No, you haven't. But I'll teach you. Fire spirits would begin to surround Genma. As he launched his attack towards Kazuma, he would block it off with what appeared to be a gust of wind. But there was a chill to it. So, you still deny that you're the wind magic user? Of course I deny it because I'm not. And if this is really the best that you can do, then I don't even need to use my full power. You arrogant little brat. I'll show you what full power truly is. Around Genma, the flame spirits that were summoned would begin to change color, from a crimson red to a fiery orange to a blazing yellow. Kazuma quickly realized what his father was trying to do. This technique, God's fire, the azure flame. In the lifetime of the Kanagi family, only 11 have been able to master this technique, passed down directly from the king of the flame spirits. So, the famous God fire, huh? You're finally getting serious? You'll regret that I did. Now, Kazuma, this is your last chance. Surrender or die. I'll never surrender to you. Fine then. Genma would launch his attack towards Kazuma. He knew he was supposed to hold back, but at that moment, there was no point in doing so. Kazuma was a rebel child, a child that had been led astray, a child that went bad. As a father, as an honored member of the Kanagi family, it was his responsibility to do away with his son. Perhaps he'd never get the answers. Perhaps he'd never know why his son became the way he did. But now the only thing he could do was make sure that the sins of the son would be burnt away forever. Kazuma was surrounded by the flames, and for a moment as he yelled out, it seemed as though he had been consumed by them. But quickly the tide of battle would turn, as a multitude of glowing spirits channeled themselves around him. The flames would quickly disappear, as Kazuma was then encased in a block of ice. Suddenly, the ice block would burst forth as the cold winds would begin to surround Genma. Genma looking to see that the ground had turned to frost. The grass that was now a bright and luscious green had been frozen over into a pure white. The concrete pavement turned to ice itself, the trees looking like they had been chiseled out of snow. What is this? I told you, old man, I'm not the wind spirit user, because I didn't make a contract with the spirit of the wind. But even then, the wind spirits, they obey my commands. I am the contractor who formed my pact with a spirit that succeeds the wind, a spirit that existed long before. Wait, that's right, Kazuma said. His body now completely different. From head to toe, he looked like he was a man made out of ice. What's the matter, old man? I thought that someone like you would know your history. The King of Fire did not rule alone. He had a queen that stood by his side. But unlike the king, the queen never formed a contract with any of mankind. Until now. And you're saying that you are that one? I am, Kazuma would say. Eyes as blue as the azure sky. That is the symbol of the contractor, entrusted by the spirit queen of ice with the powers of her domain. I bear this mark, the stigma of winter. Kazuma would raise his hand towards Genma as he shot a blast of wintry ice towards his father, who would use the god's fire to create a shielding flame to protect himself. The flames were eaten away by the ice, enveloped by its wintry embrace, as he was shot far across the park and right into a frozen tree behind him, knocking him out cold as he landed in the snow. What now, old man? What? I told you I was stronger than you, damn it! I did it! I finally beat you, you damn bastard! Damn it. I finally beat you. What? What am I supposed to do now? This concludes Kaze no Stigma, Stigma of Winter. What if Kazuma was Iceman? Season 1, Part 1. As always, if you enjoyed today's video and everything else that we have to offer, then please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share, and hit that bell for post notifications so you can stay up to date on everything that is PowerCore Productions and Podcastings that's to come out now and in the future. Stay tuned tomorrow as we continue with Kaze no Stigma, Stigma of Winter. What if Kazuma was Iceman? Season 1, Part 2. But anyway, that's going to do it for the end of today's video. I'm Javon Harrington with PowerCore Productions and Podcastings, signing off, and I'll see you next time.